He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole wide world in his hands. Welcome everybody to Spoiler Warning, where today most of our focus will be on the return of Bray Wyatt at Extreme Rules, as well as the renewed signature for Jon Moxley in AEW. Two people who show a clear, distinct direction for both the WWE and AEW's future, the diversity of their intentions, and more than anything, where their priorities are. Because one thing I can say with absolute certainty is that the WWE now belongs to Bray Wyatt. Welcome everyone to the show. My name is Tom Colohue. I'm a pro wrestling news reporter, and yes, that was indeed me trying to do singing. I do apologise for subjecting all of you to that, but I thought it would be fun and I stand by it. We are going to be discussing primarily what went on with Bray Wyatt, how we got to where we were, a little bit of rumour killing, and a little bit of rumour confirming after what was the biggest Extreme Rules in WWE history. I repeat, the biggest Extreme Rules in WWE history. This show had the most viewers of any Extreme Rules pay-per-view in WWE history, as reported by Raj Giri of, previously I should say, of Wrestling Inc. There has been a 30% roughly increase in the viewership from this time last year, and the primary reason for that was not the wrestling, even though Triple H has undoubtedly created a greater buzz. The primary reason for that is the White Rabbit. The primary reason for that is Bray Wyatt. The primary reason for that is exactly the same as what brought a 2.5 million viewership to SmackDown. The WWE have brought back Bray Wyatt. I can also confirm reports that the negotiations started immediately after Vince McMahon left the company. That is 100% accurate, as I initially reported that one 2 months ago. Triple H has a considerable list of talent that he wants to not just bring back to the company, but also rebuild. Karrion Kross, for example, was brought back and then the rebuild started. Bray Wyatt has always been at the top of that list, and initial questions and initial negotiations were positive immediately. The signature came over the last couple of weeks because Wyndham Rotunda, the man himself, had many promises, many assurances, and trusted Triple H to give him what he wanted. He wanted the Wyatt Six, as it's being affectionately referred to. He wanted to tell a story that he was originally going to be telling in a film on the actual wrestling stage. Instead, he will be getting that opportunity. Bray Wyatt does have limited creative control. He's been able to pitch the story. From here, Rob Fee will take over and essentially build it up. Triple H will have final confirmation, but the majority of the booking will be done by Bray Wyatt himself. He will be involving a number of different wrestlers, many of whom have volunteered, but it comes down to who Wyatt himself wants to work with, because there is still quite a considerable amount of people who do not want to work with Bray Wyatt. There are a number of people who are simply uninterested in working with Bray Wyatt, and to be blunt, quite a few people are not particularly happy to have gotten the call that they may be needed for a Bray Wyatt storyline. Seth Rollins has been open about the fact that his previous attempt at working with The Fiend resulted in a bit of a burial on his part. A lot of wrestlers do not want the change in character that comes with Bray Wyatt feuds, so Wyatt has a bit of making things up to do. That has already started. Discussions and negotiations are already ongoing as to the people he intends to work with. A name that's come up quite a few times already is Matt Riddle. That may, of course, be why he returned when he did. Bray Wyatt is expected to make an appearance of some sort for Raw tonight. I'm not entirely sure he's going to be there in person, but we will see the beginning of the development of the now alive Firefly Funhouse. So there's a lot that we're going to be seeing when it comes to Bray Wyatt starting on Raw. He will be shown on both shows at least for a little while he gets his foot under the door once again, and his first target, to my knowledge, is on Raw. I will still be talking about Jon Moxley. I'll still be talking about DX and how they're going to be used with the Bloodline tonight, but I'm also going to take your questions and talk to the chat. So, Austin Palmeter, first one in, says, Tom, is it true Sportskeeda said Gallows and Anderson are returning? Now, to be clear, Sportskeeda did not say that. Sportskeeda repeated someone else saying that. They repeated the report from PWInsider. Sean says, in effort to answer the question there for Sean, for Austin, says PWInsider confirmed it. Just to be clear, PWInsider did not confirm this report. They made the report initially. No one has confirmed the report to my knowledge as of yet. When it comes to sources, it can often look like there are 4, 5, 10 different sources to something. In reality, there is just one, but a lot of different websites are repeating the same tale. I haven't actually said it yet, so let's say it now. If you're currently watching on YouTube, please do remember to hit the like button. Every like does help the growth of the channel, and I personally would very much appreciate it. Thank you kindly to everyone who has already hit like. We have 23 already, but we also have 76 viewers, so please remember to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Tommy says Extreme Rules was awesome. I agree. There was definitely some slow matches early on. The second and third match did not impress me, to be entirely blunt, and Liv Morgan needs something. She definitely needs something to rebuild her at this point. However, the pay-per-view as a whole was impressive enough for me. Carlo says, will Bray Wyatt be on Raw tonight? In some element, yes. Raymond says, hi Tom, happy day after Bray. Happy day after Bray, fair enough, mate. Happy day after Bray to you too. Monique says, hi Tom, how excited are you for Raw tonight? Fairly. Spider-Boss says, hello Tom, happy to see Bray Wyatt back in WWE. Indeed I am. And he says, does the Bayley versus Bianca rivalry continue tonight? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Also says, what is next for Liv Morgan? A big character change. I did report previously that we're seeing more heel elements, and we will continue to see more of those. Turnbuckle Studios, welcome mate. Says, good day to you sir, and a good day to you. Kieran says, I'm assuming Liv is going to be one of the Wyatt Six. There is one member of the Wyatt Six available. There is a number of different people who've been mentioned. One of the strongest contenders at this point in time is Nikki Cross. Spider-Boss says, spoiler warning, did it again. September 21st, Bray Wyatt could return to WWE. September 21st, I said Bray Wyatt will return to WWE. October 8th, Bray Wyatt returned. You did it again. Thank you kindly. Kieran says the whole Bray return was perfect. I agree, it was extremely well booked. Spider-Boss says, did Seth Rollins tap out in the fight pit? Yes, he did. Ross says, seen a few reports, Gallows and Anderson returning. Interesting, never really seemed to get over. Yeah, essentially, if they return now, AJ Styles is getting a favour done for him. Fowler says, hi Tom, how are you? How are you? Looking forward to spoiler warning. I'm very good, thank you. King's Andy's asking for a Sasha update. There is no Sasha update. And Callie says, so happy Bray is back. Sean says, reported by The Observer. Was it reported by The Observer? Or was it reported by PWInsider and repeated by The Observer? Just to be clear on that one. Hello, Sean. How are you? Spider-Boss says, Bray coming for Alexa Bliss? Eventually, yes. Michael says, hi, Tom. Hello, Michael. How are you doing? Sean says, possible Bray has an interaction with Roman? Yep, forever. It's a very long time. Hector says, Matt Riddle makes perfect sense. He could play on Orton, and maybe that could lead to Orton coming back to make the save, and Bray can avenge that unnecessary loss from last year. Unnecessary is debatable, but I get what you're saying. Jonathan says, I find it hard to believe Moxley didn't have at least one discussion with WWE during contract negotiations. To my knowledge, he was approached, but he did not continue the conversation. Richard says, hello, Tom and all. Hello, Richard. How are you? Eric says, Tom, it looks like you were right about Liv going heel. How are you today? Doing very well, thank you. And yes, it does seem like I was right about Liv going heel. Thank you, Venom, the king of pro wrestling news. Stuart says, hi Tom, that return was bloody brilliantly done, and I wholeheartedly agree on that one. Sean says, Alexa was injured last week. She might not be on Raw tonight. She's injured her finger. There is still plenty more that they can do with that. Spider-Boss says, Ronda versus Liv. Both women botched some spots during the match. Yes, they did. Michael says, Bianca is pushed way too hard for my liking. They should have had a cage. Oops, sorry, one sec. Should have made that a cage or lumberjack match. I agree, as you know. Kieran always liked AJ with the Good Brothers. I'm not a fan of the Good Brothers. I don't see what they add to the WWE at all. Spider-Boss says, personally, I didn't like how Bianca beat Bayley in Extreme Rules. Bianca looked like John Cena. Kieran says, Hunter really likes Bray, thinks he's one of the most creative wrestlers out there. He has said that, and he stands by it. Spider-Boss says, I didn't like the Cross versus Drew Strap match, nor did I. Venom says, Pro Wrestling Unlimited are reporting the Good Brothers are returning soon. Are they? Are they really? Because they've never reported anything in their lives. Ethan says, hey Tom. Hey Ethan, how you doing? Douglas says, greetings Tom, greetings from Chile. Welcome. Ethan says, will Bray Wyatt be on Raw tonight? In some incarnation, yes he will. We will see some sort of appearance from Bray Wyatt on Raw. Thomas says, hi Tom, who do you think Bray will feud with first? Good question. Nothing's been officially confirmed as of yet, but I believe he's going after a Matt Riddle or a Seth Rollins based on when he appeared. Venom says, everyone has got what they want. Bray Wyatt returned, now it's time to get what I want. My Sasha back. She's not your Sasha, just to be clear. I find it very creepy when people say things like that, and I will find it creepy until the end of time. Sean says also, hello Tom, how's your Monday night? Going very well, thank you. Ken, welcome. Says, will Bliss be joining Bray? Bray will come for Bliss at some point, though it is unlikely to be happening immediately. Steve, welcome mate, says, always starting the week off the right way. A spoiler warning from Mr. Colohue. Hope you're well, sir. Very well indeed. Thank you kindly for joining us. Spider-Boss says, yowie wowie, Bray is back. Bray coming for Alexa Bliss. Eventually, yes, though unlikely to be immediate. Timothy says, what's up, Tom? Hi, Timothy. How you doing, mate? Kervin says, what next for Bianca Belair? The feud with Bayley is not over. We will be seeing a little bit more. Bayley, I believe, will get more intense and more extreme. War Games is built around damage control on the women's side, so expect to see more people potentially joining. Will, how you doing? Says, hi Tom. Remember when you keep telling us Sasha and Naomi is coming back, and did you notice during Bianca Belair versus Bayley match, Michael Cole name dropped Sasha Banks? Yes, I did indeed notice that. I did indeed. Steve says, my question for you today is asking your favourite DX moment ever, with the 25-year anniversary celebration this evening. The promo at the beginning of Raw, where they'd received a letter and been told that they absolutely could not say bleep. Not even bleep? Well, yeah, you bleep. You can't say bleep, etc. That was just very, very good stuff, and I really enjoyed it. What's your favourite for DX? There's some really good moments. I liked the tank. Was not a tank. And honestly, I actually started watching while DX were trying to beat up the Nation. The match that got me into wrestling was the ladder match between Triple H and The Rock. So as much as I would say that was my favourite segment, when it comes to what happened with DX, WrestleMania 15, when China turned on the Authority to side with Triple H, and then Triple H and China turned on DX to side with the Authority, that was great stuff. Hector says, Matt Riddle makes perfect sense. I've already read that one, sorry. Simon says, keep Bray away from Seth. He killed Seth Rollins' babyface character momentum in 2019. They spoke about it in the Ariel Helwani interview. He did indeed. Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins are unlikely to work together on the grounds that Seth Rollins still hasn't really recovered from what happened there. This Seth Rollins character could certainly work against Bray a lot better. That doesn't mean he wants to. For free, welcome. Says, do you think Brock will be booked for Crown Jewel? Not at this point, no, though I do think he'll be involved in some capacity for Survivor Series. Austin says, I don't know how true it is about Bo Dallas returning. Let's just say that may have been part of that may have been part of contract negotiations between Bray Wyatt and the WWE. James says, the moment they're united in 2006, Steve. This is as regards DX. Thank you for jumping in there, James. When Steve asks those questions, I hope everyone does jump in and share their favourite memories of DX as well. Tommy says, any returns tonight? Yes, Bray Wyatt. Officially. Austin says, who could Ronda next challenger be? Shayna, hopefully. I suspect we will have something more with Raquel Rodriguez, but I don't think she's done with Liv Morgan just yet. Gervin says, I'm going to be honest. Ronda versus Liv Morgan and Drew McIntyre versus Karrion Kross. The problem was both matches don't have no chemistry. There was very little chemistry between them. That's not technically their fault. I do remember a CM Punk versus Rey Mysterio match where they just did not have any chemistry at all. It was a terrible match. Fast forward a couple of years, they developed chemistry and it was fantastic. This is why certain wrestlers need to work more house shows, and of course Ronda Rousey has not been doing that of late. Austin says, I liked Bray's tribute to Brody. He will continue to do tributes like that, but he will not be doing storylines based on that. A lot of people have speculated that they will be doing things based entirely on tributes to Brody. There is no plan to do so. Razar says, the Bray return was executed so well, the production all the way up to the lead-up and reveal. What were your thoughts on the reveal? I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I thought they played it perfectly. We all knew who it was. We all knew who it was going to be. I think most people were confident he was going to be there. I did my best to try and make people think otherwise to help the spoilers. If you've watched my members-only video that I have at the moment in the members-only section, I lay out exactly when I knew that this was happening and exactly how I knew that this was happening. But of course, I reported about Bray Wyatt's return on September 21st, reporting that he would be rejoining the WWE and that he had decided to do so. Richard says, Liv Morgan's reign isn't a singles wrestler. She's a tag wrestler. She's not. She's very much a singles wrestler. She did very well. She just hasn't been booked well at all. She did very well against Becky, for example. Horsey says, evening, Tom. Hope you're well. Doing very well, thank you, Horsey. Kieran says, I've already read that one. Wrestler fan says, is it possible we could see Brock Lesnar on Raw tonight or SmackDown? Yes, anything is possible. Everything is on the table. Miss T, welcome. Says, hi Tom. Will Alexa also be involved in the Bray/Fiend storyline? Eventually, Bray will come back for Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss wants to be involved with Bray. That will happen. Both people want it to happen. Alexa Bliss much preferred that character. I just don't think it'll be the same character. Richard says, Bray's return was just best ever. It certainly got a whole lot of people talking and a whole lot of people watching. Brad, welcome, mate. Says the Luke Harper tribute in Bray's return was amazing. Sama says, I passed out during Extreme Rules after the Bayley versus Bianca match about Sasha. Okay, so it's all about Sasha again. Spider-Man says, personally, I didn't like how Bianca defeated Bayley in Extreme Rules. Bianca looked as Super Cena. I know I've read that already, but I want to talk about it a little bit more. Bianca did look extremely tough and a little bit Supergirl. Once again, in the same sort of John Cena element. So I get what you're saying. She is the one beating the odds and going all Roman Reigns now. Raymond says, the Wyatt 6 would be a perfect way to push and build new talent. Do you see NXT call-ups to fill a couple of those spots? Joe Gacy, yes. Kervin says, I see a rumour about WWE moves to Charlotte to Raw for WrestleMania 39. Bianca versus Charlotte, please no. You don't see a rumour on that. You see people taking the fact that Charlotte wants to wrestle Bianca and has said so in an interview, and people saying, here's a horrible thing that we want not to happen, so obviously it's going to happen. Noob says, hello Tom, how you doing over the weekend? Did very, very well. Had a very good Extreme Rules watch party. I had a great time, guys. A great time, and I want to thank all of you for that. Please remember to hit like while watching this video. We have 36 likes and 99 viewers, and let's keep those subscriber numbers going up because we are this close to 1690 and on to 1700. Razar says, interesting that all the people Triple H talked about in that aerial interview are back. Now we just wait for Sasha. So other than Sasha, what do you think would be the best way for her to come back? A surprise or build up? No comment. Simon says the Good Brothers were ice cold in Impact and they're ice cold in New Japan as well, to be fair. Sean says most fans are saying Bray's return was bigger than CM Punk's return. I don't see any need to compare the two. They were different things for different companies under different circumstances. Hector says a neat little tidbit from Extreme Rules. The mask that Abby the Witch and the crowd was wearing, the mask that was previously worn by the former Bludgeon brother Luke Harper, and also the blue light behind the door was a possible nod to Mr. Brodie Lee's entrance in AEW. It wasn't a possible nod, it was an intentional nod. Venom says, is there a chance Sasha is back tonight? Everything is on the table. There's always a chance. Simon says, Tom, Naomi put on her Instagram story that she's in New York City tonight. That may answer your question there, Venom. Timothy says, I'm good. How are you? I'm great. I really am. I'm really enjoying life at the moment, and that makes me suspicious. That makes me think there is a fall coming, like flat on my face because of something dumb. You all know how it works. Sometimes when things go well, you just don't trust it. Eric says, do you think Liv could join the Wyatt 6? I said it earlier, I will happily reiterate. There is one, at least, woman in the Wyatt 6. Signs at the moment are pointing towards Nikki Cross. Ethan says, could Bray interrupt the Seth Rollins versus Bobby Lashley US title match tonight? Possibly. Everything is on the table. James Stewart says, Mia Yim a free agent now? Yes, to my knowledge she has just become a free agent and will consider all offers put to her. She is most likely to land in the WWE in my opinion. Jonathan says, Bianca is a superstar. Okay, Jonathan, people are entitled to their opinions. It's not moaning or complaining to say, I think she's booked a little too strong. Okay? Bring it down just a touch. I know that in quite a lot of chats and YouTube channels, that's a normal communication. There's no reason for that here. We're all entitled to our opinion. So I'm going to tell you to calm down there. Noob says the ladder match between Bianca Belair and Bayley is great, but the way Damage Control have been portrayed, they were squashed. They kind of were. After all, they appeared, got hit with one double finisher, and that was that. Bayley simply could not win on her own or with help. Michael says, for whatever it's worth from Zero News, he says a women's mid-card belt is in the works. When people here first started asking about Zero News, I started paying attention to them. They have a record of about 40%. JJ says, hey Tom, do you think Becky returns tonight? Possibly. She seems more likely than anyone else. She is fit and going. She has been exercising with her full range of motion. I think we are more likely to see her now than we were before. But as I say, everything is on the table. He says, hi Tom, since they can't get Billy, gone, did they get Bart to play Billy? No. Chewy says, hey Tom, which wrestlers do you think were playing as the Firefly Funhouse characters? I've mentioned one is Nikki Cross, one other in Joe Gacy. Spider-Boss says, Michael Cole and Spanish announcers mentioned Sasha in Extreme Rules. Yes, she does wrestle for the WWE. She is still employed by them. Why wouldn't they? My game says, best DX moment, the night after WrestleMania 14 when X-Pac came back and the Outlaws joined. When X-Pac first cut the Your Ass is Grass promo that he then cut a further 20 times the next year. Ross says, I like the WCW Invasion night where Raw and Nitro were close by. It was pretty cool, although it was obvious nothing would happen. It was just funny at the time. It was, and it showed a real spirit that I enjoyed. Michael says it was stupid ending a Hell in a Cell match, not Bray. Bray was involved in that, and Bray was involved in the booking of it. But yeah, the ending of the match where everyone needed to be protected was not a good thing. Thank you, Horsey. Horsey has just joined and become a channel supporter, which means you get access to behind the scenes. There are 3 videos there right now, 3 podcasts and 1 behind the scenes video. More to come. Thank you kindly for choosing to join the channel membership program. Spider-Boss says, my favourite moment of DX was when Triple H and HBK made Shane O'Mac Unforgiven 2006. Sam says, time to Bo leave again. Kieran says, do we know if Liv Morgan and Bo Dallas are still in a relationship? We have not had it confirmed that they were ever in a relationship to begin with. Tommy says, when DX invaded WCW Nitro, WCW messed up. Should have let DX in and get viewers to flip. That would have been a good call, though of course it was pre-recorded. The show was not live at the time. They don't mention that one. Connor says, hey Tom, hope your day's been good. It has, thank you. Any update regarding Liv's character change? Is she going full heel now? I've already reported as to heel elements to the character. It really does depend how it's received. I would think so, yes. Will says it's almost crazy to me because of CM Punk we might get most of the Bullet Club in WWE. If Tony doesn't get the Kenny in the Bucks side back happy. I find it more likely that Kenny Omega and the Bucks will go back to New Japan than sign with WWE. Ross says they couldn't have done it better with the Bray return. I wholeheartedly agree. Venom says not really sure who else could be brought back other than AOP and Sasha. Well, there's plenty of people who may be signed on to different wrestling companies at the moment. FTR, Alistair, Andrade. There is plenty. Joey says, PWInsider reported the Good Brothers are returning to WWE. Do you have any news about this? None whatsoever. None whatsoever. Randall says, Finn's entrance was freaking fire. I wholeheartedly agree on that. Wrestler Fan says, Ringside News reported that Brock is booked for Crown Jewel. Is that true? Couldn't tell you. I don't know. But Ringside News, also not 100%. If you've been following their reporting, they're not even close to 100%. Razar says, do you know anything about Sarah Logan? Nope. Austin says, I liked how Triple H did the Bray return. It's his specialty. Wait towards the end like Ciampa, Gargano, NXT. That, by the way, is the biggest giveaway if you watch back to the Extreme Rules watch party. That's the biggest giveaway that I knew what was coming because I mentioned that specifically. Traffic says, good evening, Tom. Thank you for the news as always. Hope you're able to thrive off this huge Bray return and take this channel to the moon. I hope so too, Traffic, and I appreciate that. Mike says, I think the members of the YS6 were the people in the Firefly Funhouse costumes and will be revealed. Yes. I don't think all the PR codes could have been clues who the YS6 will be. They are not. It is completely unrelated. We are unlikely to see more QR codes. Venom says, when do you see Charlotte and Becky returning? Very, very shortly. Andy says, the Gallows and Anderson WWE return bound. So PWInsider certainly thinks so. Fowers says, did you notice the WWE Women's Championships being put beside Abby the Witch persona during Bray's return? Yes. Yes, I did. Andy says, I really enjoy your Extreme Rules watch party. Thank you, Andy. I appreciate that. Those tend to get me quite a few viewers because of the news I'm able to break there, and it's just a lot of fun. It makes the show a lot more fun to watch, I tell you. Even if it's a great show, it makes it a lot more fun. Spider-Boss says, in your opinion, Tom, is it a good thing Bianca looking like a mix of Roman, the big dog, with Super Cena? No, there were moments when Bianca was booed during that match last night. People will start to turn if it keeps going, but I don't think she's going to be champion much longer. Ken, how you doing, mate? Says, hi, everyone. Thomas says, if Sasha and Naomi do return tonight, how would you book it? I'm not going to do a hypothetical on top of a hypothetical. They will not be returning tonight. Kelly says, can you become a member using your phone, or do you need to go on a laptop? I do believe you can become a member using your phone if you're logged into YouTube and already have the necessary sign-in already. So where it says like, there should be a join button, which would be the way to do it. Richard says, Tom, you must be annoyed with the constant Sasha return questions. No, not really. Sometimes I try and make a joke of it, try and meme it a little bit, but this is a news show, and that's news that people care about. So what essentially all these questions say to me is, as soon as I have Sasha news, get it out there, because it's going to gain me viewers and stuff. So that's what I do. Turnbuckle Studio says, many are speculating that Alexa could take on the role of Abby. I prefer Alexa with the role of Sister Abigail. Sister Abigail is dead. No one will take on that role to my knowledge. The reason that Bray briefly portrayed Sister Abigail is literal delusion. That was the characterization of that character. Alexa would still be Alexa, but she'd be the Fiend version of Alexa. Hector says, Tom, this may sound crazy, but I think Triple H arguably made Bray feel like a bigger deal in one night than Vince did in any time prior. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Ken says, if Mercedes is happy being away from wrestling, good for her. I like Sasha, but she was never the top star, nor will she be. Ronda, Roman and the like will always be treated as bigger deals. Spider-Boss says, I prefer more to see in WWE FTR instead of the Good Brothers. You would be with a large collection of other people who agree with that. Tommy says, I don't think Sheamus and Gunter can have a bad match against each other. It's not in their blood. I agree with that. There will be more matches. The plan is to make Gunter versus Sheamus similar to, for example, the New Day versus the Usos. The idea that they can always fall back on it and it would still deliver. Richard says, Nikki Cross would be amazing in Wyatt 6. Nikki Ash wouldn't. Nikki Ash is going by the wayside very quickly. Adam says, is Bray Wyatt playing multiple characters? Yes and no. He will be heavily involved in each character and maybe voicing some of them, but he will not be playing all of them himself. Rob says, Isla Dawn would be a nice fit with Bray, which I think is a good shout. No worries, Jonathan. I appreciate you being open to that conversation that we just had about it. I appreciate the respect that you show in there. And, well, just, by all means jump in and chat away. Welcome to the show today. But we try and keep things as civil as possible. And I just feel it went a little bit over the line. But again, I completely appreciate that you were open to that discussion there. Then it says, I'm going to smash my TV if Sasha doesn't turn up tonight. Okay, well, buy yourself a new TV. Ready to be disappointed next week as well. Simon says, credit goes to Edge as more of a Christian I mean, he's a great wrestler. I don't know why Christian fits in there. Ross says, would be good to see Nikki getting a decent role. I think she's good, and being Scottish as well, I'd be happy for her. It does look like she's going to get a hell of an opportunity. Joey says, is there any interest from the WWE in Maria and Mike Kanellis? Not much, but I'd imagine they can be convinced. Ken says, I hope Liv's evil smile isn't a tease for her to join Bray Wyatt. Not everything revolves around Bray Wyatt. It is unlikely at this point in time, but not a guarantee. It seems more likely she's going to have a massive mental breakdown a la, what's his name? What? Brian Pillman. Tommy says, you should make a shirt that says everything is on the table, a merch idea for you. So we've got spoiler warning, we've got the way, we've got everything is on the table. And just have a wrestling table on it. That could work. Ken says, is Nikki still teaming with Piper Niven? Technically, yes. That will not be lasting much longer. WWE and Thomas fan says, what do you feel about the rumours that the Good Brothers are returning to WWE? I feel like if that's the case, it is a favour to AJ Styles, and they're not going to be used all that much. Ty's Mustang says, any news on if Riddle was injured? No, to my knowledge, no injury to Matt Riddle. Clyde says, hope all having a great day. Whatever time it is where you are, it is currently 10:30 in the evening for me over here. And yeah, so far, having a great time. For those who've not yet done so, we have 114 viewers and only the 41 likes, which to be fair is a very good number. So please, if you haven't done so yet, hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. We are very close to 1,690 and then on to 1,700. Spider-Bell says, do you think that Haaland is overrated? No, everyone knows he's fantastic. Rizal says, first time seeing a fight pit match. Was this one different than the others? No, pretty much exactly as normal, except without Timothy Thatcher is a bit more fast-paced and a bit less ground and pound. Sorry to hear that, Sean. I'm not sure what's going on with Twitch at the moment. YouTube seems a lot more reliable. Ken says, I wish WWE didn't blacklist Shamrock. When did they blacklist Shamrock? Not aware of that. JJ says, I feel bad because people never ask for Naomi. Me too, which is why quite often when I get asked about it, I specifically mention Naomi as well. She does exist. She does matter. I know, Simon, that's what I was referring to. Venom says, I don't really count ones that are signed to a company because my list would be endless. Fair. Jay White, for example, I would love. Sean says, there's Tegan that can always return. Nope, there absolutely is not. Bailey says, tomorrow is Rhea Ripley's birthday, just 26. That's crazy. And she is on an amazing career trajectory right now. I do feel she is going to be one of the top names in women's wrestling for about a decade and a half now. Plenty of time for it. Simon says, Naomi is my 11-year-old niece's favourite wrestler. She absolutely adores her. I really like Naomi too as well. Will says, I'm a Bianca fan, but WWE needs to ease off. Bianca pulling a John Cena. Remember, fans didn't turn on Cena all at once. It happened over time. I don't want that for Bianca, which I think is fair. Eric says, totally off topic, but I think Tony won't punish Sammy because he doesn't want to piss off yet another EDP in Jericho. EVP, and to my knowledge, Jericho is not an EVP. Joey says, will Bray be on the show tonight or will it just be a video segment? He'll be on the show in some incarnation. I can't confirm, but I know a vignette has been recorded. He may still make an appearance. That may have been leaked intentionally. Venom says, how far off would you say you are from doing this full-time, Tom? I will not be doing it full-time until I can reach at least the point of 10,000 subscribers. It took me 3 years to get to 10,000 on Twitter. I'm 2 years into this so far, and we're approaching 2,000. The pace continues to improve. I'm regularly at this point. My average is 3 subscribers per day, which I'm pretty happy about, which shows you the momentum increase that we have lately. I remember the days when I was scratching and crawling and begging at times to get 1 new subscriber per day. I remember when 20 a month was incredible for me. Now I'm reliably getting 100 a month. So pace is picking up for it. I think we're maybe 2-3 years off personally, but I also quite like my day job. 4-3 says, do you see Fury having successful cash-in? No, unfortunately not anymore. Hector says, as long as the Good Brothers just wrestle and act serious, I'm okay with it. I want them to stay away from the dumb skits like the Doctor one. I don't think Triple H is there for it, but at the same time, he wants them to have more say, so we'll see. Spider-Bell says, DX pranking Vince and Shane and the Spirit Squad was extremely funny. Brad Becker says, how long do we see the Firefly Funhouse characters in a mask and costumes? Just as long as it takes for you to stop tuning in to try and find out who's in the masks and costumes. Steve Englum says, in Philly, we love Gritty. Did you gain a love for Gritty after Extreme Rules? No. No, not at all. The whole thing was a prop. So, I don't know. Didn't feel that one. Kevin says, if Baron Corbin closes the door, don't let Bray Wyatt show up. Baron Corbin is going to be a mega heel. I have no idea what he's saying there, Kevin. Could you rephrase it for me? Mike Game says, there was a meme a couple of weeks ago. I was with Karrion Kross, Scarlett, Braun Strowman and Dexter Lumis with a white rabbit laying front and Bray Wyatt staring at from behind them. Braun Strowman definitely wasn't involved in that. You would know, he'd be massive. Rodney says, Billy Gunn is going to be on Monday Night Raw. Is he? Did they just announce that? Because from what I can tell, they've been announcing desperately around that for a while now. Let's find out. WWE, let's see their Twitter. Have they announced that Billy Gunn's going to be there? 34 minutes ago, DX celebrates their 25th anniversary. There's X-Pac, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and Road Dogg. No mention of Billy Gunn there. No mention of Billy Gunn. Venom says, when do you think Becky and Bayley will feud? if it's not for this year's WrestleMania, and it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case, I would imagine it'll be a day one feud or a Royal Rumble match. Joey says, do you think Bo Dallas will play The Fiend? I'm not sure. Spider-Boss says, could we see in some point Sheamus beating Gunther for the IC title? Unlikely, as someone else will be beating Gunther for the IC title and we're away from it happening. Ross says, I can't recall ever seeing Gunther have a bad match. I don't believe he ever has. Connor says, I won't lie. If dropping the title is a trade Liv does to get a solid character change, I'm not too mad as a Liv fan. Her reign was tainted by SummerSlam and a reset is what she needs, in my opinion. I agree with that. I think, unfortunately, she was given the championship and there just wasn't a cohesive plan for it. Kevin says, what about Dijakovic joining the Wyatt Six? That is one that I feel makes a lot of sense. It would certainly be a good progression of the character. Let's not forget, after all, that we have seen a number of people blank out their Twitter feeds. Dijakovic, Ziggler, Liv Morgan, Seth Rollins, amongst them. Justin says, Nikki needs a change bad. I believe her crazy gimmick with Bray will be interesting. I agree with that, and I think that's the most logical next step for this character, Nikki Cross losing her mind. The only detractor from that is that Liv Morgan seems to be doing the exact same thing at the exact same time. Adam says, what character is Bray Wyatt playing right now? A brand new one. A brand new character. The Redeemer. The Reclaimer. Justice. Vegeta says, hi Tom. Hey Vegeta, how you doing, mate? Spider-Boss says, Beth Phoenix sold Rhea's concerto like a KO punch from Tyson Fury. Beth Phoenix did a fantastic job, and it looks like Crown Jewel will feature Edge and Beth Phoenix against Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley. Joey says, Edge and Balor was definitely match of the night. The ending was great. I don't entirely agree. I think the Donnybrook match was a match of the night personally. That was built perfectly, extremely well produced, and just a lot of fun to watch. Richard says, on NXT last week, Joe Gacy was hugged by someone in a red hoodie. Could that be revealed to be Bray Wyatt or someone else? It was not Bray Wyatt. It was not Bray Wyatt that did that. Simon says, why did Bray come back before Sasha and Naomi when the first Sasha and Naomi reports from Wrestling News Co. was way back on August 1st? Why is Triple H delaying their return? Fans are growing really impatient. Triple H is not delaying their return. Sasha Banks and Naomi are delaying their return. So when you say, why did Bray come back? Because he wanted to. Justin says, I feel like if Bray does have a 6-person group, it should be for new stars like Joe Gacy or someone like Nikki Cross. If Liv, Alexa, etc. joins, then I think it's a waste. I wouldn't necessarily say that for Liv. I have said that I think Alexa Bliss will be someone that revenge is held on. So I think Nikki Cross beating up Alexa Bliss is a lot more likely than Alexa Bliss being in this group. Adam says, is Joe Gacy playing Huskus, the pig character? I cannot name individuals who were involved. Last night at Extreme Rules, it wasn't just the people actually playing the characters who were involved. There were some stand-ins on it. I remember when Retribution debuted, Rusev, Xavier Woods played the roles of those particular individuals. Joe Gacy, however, was there, was in one of the costumes, and was involved. Spider-Boss says, personally, I think people ask always for Sasha because Sasha is a bigger name than Naomi. That's true, but it's still, I feel, a little disrespectful to only ever mention Sasha when asking about a return. Happy birthday, Vegeta. I remember you mentioning this. Happy birthday to you. I hope you're having a fantastic one, and I hope you got a lovely big bit of cake. Ty's Mustang says, I don't see Charlotte returning tonight, but you never know. I see her returning on the Raw in Charlotte, North Carolina, later this month. Booed by the hometown crowd. I get what you're saying. Raymond says, if Joe Gacy becomes a member of Y6, do you see Schism dissolving or evolving? I see them reverting. Triple H doesn't always like to go backwards, but I think in the case of the Schism, he has the right and the need to do so. Sean says, do you see Dexter crashing Miz's birthday celebration tonight? Yeah, because to be fair, that's all Dexter Lumis has done since debuting. He has appeared, annoyed the Miz, and that's his entire personality. Daz Reynolds, how you doing, mate? Says, big up. What's next for Seth after Riddle? On this one, I'm not sure. For me, Seth moves on at this point and starts to potentially get more involved with Roman Reigns again, though of course he is wrestling Bobby Lashley tonight, so we could see some continuation of that. Lashley does of course need new opponents, and Riddle is basically done with Seth, I feel, at this point. More likely for me, Riddle and Wyatt have something going on. Omega says, Tom Colohue, welcome Omega, how you doing, mate? Simon says, a Rumble return for Sasha and Naomi doesn't make sense. If they are returning as a tag team, Rumble's for singles wrestlers. Yeah, but they can still return both of them. You could have, for example, Naomi returns early in the match. People start chanting for Sasha. Sasha doesn't turn up. Doesn't turn up. Doesn't turn up. There's Sasha. You can make it work quite easily. Steve says, never going to happen, but I'd love the Horror King Vincent to be a part of the Wyatt Six. Never going to happen indeed, but I get what you're saying. Venom says, when do you see Ciampa breaking away from The Miz? Well, he wasn't there last night, was he? No, not last night, the night before. He wasn't there at Extreme Rules, is what I'm trying to say. Adam, the match between Judgment Day and Edge and Beth Phoenix seems more likely to be a crown jewel at the moment than Survivor Series. Hector says, do you think if this is a faction for Bray that the QR codes and vignettes continue to tease the members, or was that stuff only for Bray? It really does depend. At this point, the QR codes don't really help the situation. We know it's Bray. However, there's been no actual official confirmation of who is the White Rabbit. So potentially that could continue. After all, makes sense for the White Rabbit to be the first one actually formally revealed. Thomas says, what do you see Bo Dallas doing when he returns? We have not seen him return yet. I cannot confirm that he is going to return. I'll wait for that first. Spiderboss says, I don't get why fans blame Ronda because Liv lost the title. For the same reason that fans blame Ronda for Sasha Banks not winning the championship at WrestleMania. Ronda exists, therefore fans hate her. JJ says, I like Liv, but I still think Becky should have just won Money in the Bank. Becky versus Ronda would then have already happened, and Becky would not have been involved in the feud with Bianca Belair for WrestleMania. For SummerSlam, would not have been involved with Bayley, which was the plan and didn't quite come around, and I think we wouldn't have got towards Becky versus Bayley, which is something that's been planned at the moment. Venom says, someone else needs to be given a chance for the North American title other than Carmelo Hayes. I wholeheartedly agree. Simon says, we will get Bray versus Roman. Good to know you can say that with certainty. Tommy says Bray versus Roman could have a good backstory of the Shield versus the Wyatt family. Could indeed. I was discussing this during Nick and Tom's Intercontinental Adventure over this weekend when those two factions stepped into the ring together for the first time and the crowd went absolutely insane. Kieran says I'd rather Beth versus Rhea had a one-on-one. That will also be happening. Spiderboss says Edge's acting skills when Rhea hit the concerto to Beth Phoenix was so good. Well, he's a Viking for a reason. Venom says, do you think the schism will go back to grizzled young vets? Yeah. Simon says, will Kaylee Ray defeat Mandy Rose for the NXT Women's title? Maybe. Let's not ask for definitive spoilers of everything, guys. Let's not do that. Stuart says, if Gacy was in the costumes, I'd say he was under the Fiend mask. Had the right build for it. That I would agree with. When I first saw the Fiend, if you guys remember, I said, that's not Bray Wyatt, because Bray was still coming. He says Bray versus Cody would be good, but not sure if it's on the list. It is on the list. I'm not sure it's on Cody's list. 4-3 says, do you think Ciampa is going to side with Loomis? No. Why would he? I don't even know why he's siding with The Miz. We've not really established anything when it comes to Ciampa. Devon says, welcome Devon. What people always seem to forget is that Naomi and Sasha don't necessarily have to return together, and that is very true. Noom says a lot of people really want Alexa Bliss and Asuka to be replaced with Sasha Banks and Naomi for Survivor Series War Games instead of just teaming up together. Yeah, a lot of people who were saying we need more from Asuka, and now suddenly have the idea that get rid of Asuka. Adam says, is Seth Rollins going to play as a different character? Eventually, I'm sure he will. He's a constantly evolving character. Ty says, do you think they will use Orton beating Wyatt as a reason for him going after Riddle? Yeah. Spiderboss says, I would love to see Bray take a shot at Vince in a segment. That would not pass the Triple H check. Triple H still massively respects Vince and does not want to see that happening. Dog Nye Welcome says, am I missing something with Sasha Banks? I didn't watch wrestling for years, but when I saw her, I didn't think she was amazing. Bianca and Charlotte seem so much better. Am I deluded? You are certainly entitled to your opinion. Sasha Banks has a very, very clear cult following. A very clear cult following. And a lot of fans really only focus on that cult following. So I wouldn't say you're deluded. I think she's a very good wrestler, but you're entitled to your opinion as to who your personal favourites are. Will says, I do think that Triple H having all these men and women's factions. Oh, by the way, how long was it when you told us that Finn was going to get a push? Few months? It was when Triple H had just come in. So about 2 months ago. About 2 months. Thomas says, where do you rank Bray's return compared to CM Punk's in AEW and Cody's in WWE? I rank it up there. CM Punk's was in a different company with very different circumstances. I do rank it slightly higher than Cody's, but Cody gets another return soon anyway. I rank it higher than Edge's, personally. Ghost, how you doing? Says, hi Tom and chat. Sorry I'm late, just done with an exam. Fingers crossed it went very, very well, Ghost. I hope you're okay. I hope you're not too nervous about it, and I hope you absolutely nailed it. Spider-Boss says, it's just my opinion. I think the WWE pull the trigger on Liv only to make fans forget that Sasha and Naomi aren't in WWE. They would not succeed doing that. They did not succeed doing that. John says, Alexa tweets out about Bray returns and she immediately gets attacked. Typical fans, right? Yep. Yep, 100%. That is typical of fans. Can I just say, Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss have an extremely good working relationship, and they really, really respect each other. So attacking Alexa Bliss because of Bray Wyatt is an insult to Bray Wyatt. Dog Knight says, I know I'm in the minority, but I'd love if it wasn't Bray, but somebody with Bray mask holding the lantern. If it had been Bo, I would have found that hilarious, because you'd still kind of know it was coming, but also imagine the heat. Kevin says, WWE need to be ready tonight because wrestling fans are going to chant Billy Gunn. Yes, and the WWE are ready for it. Triple H has already had a few things scripted to use. Omega says, one word to describe Bray's return. Wyatt. Adam says, is Randy Orton returning? Yes. Dad says, Tom, who do you want as legend in the Rumble? There's a number of good possible people for that. I don't want people who have been kind of forgotten about. I'd love to see MVP get another turn, for example, just at least briefly. Beyond that, I'd like to see Wade Barrett, Pat McAfee involved, not necessarily legends, but I'd like to see them involved. And I'd like to see Jerry Lawler involved, so people could beat the shit out of him, particularly Karrion Kross. That'd be fun. That'd be fun. Raymond says, Alba Fire winning the title doesn't do as much for her as much as Roxanne winning would. It's all about elevating new talent and building new stars in NXT. I do believe that Kaylee Ray, regardless of her name, will be debuting on the main roster without having been an NXT Women's Champion. We currently have 123 people watching and 53 likes, meaning 70 people are watching and have not hit that thumbs up yet. Please, if you've not yet done so, hit that thumbs up. It almost guarantees more viewers in the channel. It guarantees growth, new subscribers, and really helps me get closer to a point at which I can do this full time, a point at which I can get more information. Donations, channel memberships, a big chat rate, so a lot of people talking, also make a massive difference. So please do consider doing so. Venom believes that Sasha and Becky are the best women's wrestlers. I personally think Charlotte is the best women's wrestler of pretty much all time in WWE. Andrew says, I'd love Bo to be the Fiend, but when I watch the characters in the audience, I've seen a beard. Whoever was under the Fiend mask, so it could be Bo. All good things come to those who wait. I do not believe that Bo Dallas was the Fiend, personally. Connor says, do you know if Liv is meant to take some time off TV before revealing her new persona, or is she coming straight back? Also, thanks for the news and loving the streams. Thank you, Connor. I appreciate that. I really do like how many nice words people have had for me recently. When I wore the suit jacket, everyone was really supportive, and it just made me feel really good. I remember how nervous I used to be about the idea of jumping on stream and actually putting my face out there. I don't like this. I hate this. So it's really reassuring and really, really heartwarming for people to say such nice things. Liv Morgan's new character is not in play just yet. I expect her to be back on TV imminently to build to the move. Stuart says, Mustafa Ali might be an interesting one for the Wyatt 6. Indeed, he might. Will says, have you heard anything about why Tiffany Stratton hasn't been on TV? Do you know if she's hurt? I don't know if she's hurt or not, but I do know she has been training a little harder recently. Joey says, do you think Ali could still possibly lead a faction with Dijakovic? Could do. No reason why not. Horsey says, everyone is saying Dallas in Wyatt 6 because of Brian Alvarez, even though Dave tried burying Bray's return, saying he looked huge, sadly. Dave says that. Dave is very interested in how people look. Thomas says, do you think this Bray character will be more like the Wyatt family Bray? No, I think this will be a completely new Bray Wyatt. The Redeemer, the Reclaimer, Justice. Brad says, Alexa Bliss and Bray are friends in real life, and he wanted her to continue doing the gimmick. He did. He absolutely did. Dad says, Tom, did you watch the game yesterday? If you mean the Liverpool game, yes. What a game that was. Spider-Man says, fans are weird. Fans wanted the four horsewomen out of title picture. Now fans miss Sasha and Becky and Charlotte. Well, at the moment, there is only one horsewoman in the title picture, and it's Bayley. And she isn't exactly the champion, is she? I did report at the beginning of this year, and in fact late last year, that the four horsewomen would be phased out of the title picture, at least for the foreseeable. And slowly but surely, over the course of the year, as I did report at the time, that has happened. Joey says, what's going on with Jonah? Is he still WWE bound? I didn't say he was WWE bound. I said it had WWE contact. Triple H is very interested in bringing him in. That said, in New Japan, he does have opportunities against Kazuchika Okada. So, I understand if maybe he wants to stick around in New Japan for a little while longer. Adam says, is it true WWE is concerned about Randy Orton's injury? To my knowledge, there is no huge concern as regards Randy Orton's injury. He should be returning late this year, early next year, and should be absolutely fine. Dog Knight says, Tom, I'm doing my best to spread how good a YouTuber you are. I mention you in your Great Insight in Wrestling Days channel now, and then when it's relevant. Thank you, Dog Knight. I appreciate that. I know a lot of people here actually do watch both, and I do hope Wrestling Days is receptive to name-dropping me a little bit. I do appreciate that. I get the biggest growth when people watching the show are telling people to keep watching. There's quite a few people here who've come in because their friends have told them about it. Quite a few people here who've seen my work reported in clips and so on and so forth on Twitter. Social media makes a really, really big difference and really helps me to grow. It's not enough for me to sit here and say, come and watch. It's not enough for that. But lately I've been growing extremely well, and a large part of that is all of you sharing the fact that I do put the news out there, sharing the news that I'm reliable, sharing the news that I had about Bray Wyatt on September 21st, the news that I've had on the return schedules for Sasha and Naomi, and plenty more that I've had recently, the Finn Balor push, for example. There is plenty of news that I've been sharing, plenty of news that has been proven absolutely correct, and I thank all of you for being so supportive, for having my back, and for being a massive part of the reason I've grown to the part where I am right now. I may not be able to do it full time just yet, but I'm at least not worrying too much about the cost of living rising so much that I get thrown out of my house. Thank you. Connor says, Karrion's booking confuses me. How am I meant to take him as a legitimate threat when he barely gets any offense in and Scarlett saves him 24/7? It's a good question, and I'm very confused by that myself. Michael says, is anyone joining Damage Control? I know everything is on the table. There is a high likelihood that there will be at least some affiliation between other female wrestlers and Damage Control. War Games is built around Damage Control this year, but there will be 5 people on the heel team, and only 3 people are currently in Damage Control. So you're right, everything is on the table, but I can say that there is currently plenty of people on the creative team who are writing storylines that involve more people on the side of Damage Control. We may or may not see the beginning of someone joining that team tonight. Ty, thank you, encouraging people to hit the like button. We have 57 likes now. Rosal says, interesting that all these people have got released and now coming back. Makes me wonder who is behind the releases in the first place and why I remember people blaming Nick Khan. Nick Khan was the prime person behind these releases. He was the person who put together the release lists, of which Bray Wyatt was on several of them, before eventually being released because Vince McMahon tried to keep hold of him. He genuinely did. Vince McMahon was obviously a large part of it, but Nick Khan is the guy cutting costs. Nick Khan was the guy behind the cost-benefit analysis, and Nick Khan is the guy signing off on Braun Strowman's return for a lot less than he was on when he left. That's the big difference. Triple H can convince people to take less money. Joey says it would be funny if they brought Goldberg back and have Bray destroy him. It's been mentioned. Kieran says, I only watched NXT UK when Kaylee Ray was there. I'd love her to get a successful WWE run. She will. She absolutely will. Dog Knight says 100% Charlotte is the best I've seen in the female division. Vegeta echoes it, saying Charlotte is the best. Tom Talks Rubbish is here. I hope that interview did reach 100, Tom. For anyone interested, I have personally been interviewed on the Tom Talks Rubbish channel. I think I did pretty well for views. At the end of the day, I'm not one of the highest performers, certainly, but I'm very happy with what we achieved. Tom has just donated £2 to the show, to the channel, which of course also helps with that engagement level, helping us grow and puts money directly into my pocket, helping me survive. So big love, my guy, and big love to you as well, sir. Thank you kindly for joining us. Hector says, Tom, if you get a chance to go full-time doing this, would you ever look into being part of media events for WWE if approached or no? Yes, I would. If I was doing this full-time, I would 100% be approaching the WWE PR teams, asking to be as involved as I possibly could. I'd be reaching out for a number of additional interviews. I'd be collecting email addresses, approaching different wrestlers, and trying to get as much information as possible, interviews and the like, because I would have the time and the impulse to do so. Omega says, I'd like to see Imposter Undertaker in the Rumble. So Doc Gallows then. Venom says there are too many good tag teams. They need to separate the tag belts. They will be doing so shortly. Brock the Moneymaker, been a little while, mate, wants to come in and say that Charlotte's overrated. I like how you've never said anything positive here, Moneymaker. You literally come in to say my favourites are the best and everyone else is trash. It's no wonder we don't see you for a long time. Ross says the show is just enjoyable with lots of people making good different points. Very true, Ross. Eric says, Tom, why doesn't the Ronda character respect Liv? Do you know? Yes, she doesn't respect Liv because she can easily beat Liv, and both of them know that. Steve says, who wore the mask better, Finn Balor at Extreme Rules or the Shockmaster in WCW? Shockmaster definitely wore it better. He just didn't wear it quite as firmly as he should. Razar says, if it was budget cuts, I kind of feel like this is an experiment, and if the ratings and sales don't grow, they might end up doing another mass cuts like last year. Maybe it's a trial for Triple H to prove. It kind of is, but also Stephanie McMahon has more power now, and she's more willing to invest in the future of the actual company by investing in future wrestlers, such as, for example, the returning Johnny Gargano. As I say, they did come in for less, quite a few people. Bray Wyatt may be a notable exception, but here's the thing: cost benefit. So if you get fired because your cost does not meet the benefit, there are two ways to fix it. Either you lower the cost so the cost outweighs the benefit, or you increase the benefit. Bray Wyatt is an increased benefit, Braun Strowman is a reduced cost. Monique says, I think if booked right, they could use the fan reactions on social media to start a feud with Sasha and Naomi when they come back. There was talk before they left about Naomi turning on Sasha Banks and joining the Bloodline. I still think that's going to happen. Sean says, I think Grayson Waller was Mercy the Buzzard. He also tweeted out a buzzard emoji. Certainly a lot of people are of that opinion, largely because that's what Grayson Waller is encouraging them to think. Spider-Boss says, I guess Tiffany Stratton from NXT has been off TV because she underwent a cosmetic surgery. Charlotte has done that in the past, and sometimes it's also, I think, fair to say, maybe she just wanted a break. Adam says, Grayson Waller has the build to play Mercy the Buzzard. Very similar build to what we've been presented with so far, yes. Andrew says, right now I prefer watching wrestling. My best thing over the weekend was Bray return. Also shout out to Jason, the guy who created the mask for Bray and the Firefly Funhouse characters, costumes, indeed. Massive shout out. They were incredible looking costumes. Also, welcome Andrew, how you doing? Dad says, Tom, what do you think of Trent injury and Diaz? I think they need to stop screwing around with Diaz. He's been one of our best players. As regards Trent, let's see how it goes. Bear with me just 1 second, guys. Something's about to happen, and I do apologise. Am I the weirdest sneezer you've ever seen? Just want to ask that question because I think it's a fair question. Spider-Boss says, according to Fightful, Renee Paquette, formerly known as Renee Young, is heading to AEW. Not quite true. Fightful Select, the paywall, let's make that clear, said that someone in WWE told them that they thought Renee Paquette was going to AEW. You gotta look at what they're actually saying. Eric says, Tom, do you think Ospreay wins the G1? Possibly. I mean, there's a lot of good contenders. Dad says, Tom, I'll mention you to a channel called Savage Talks Wrestling. I appreciate that, man. But, and I've said this before, you got to be careful at times. Because some people really hate me and will jump straight down your throat. I appreciate you putting it out there, though. I appreciate it. You're a good guy, Des. I appreciate you. Andrew says, I hope we get a Bray movie soon in cinemas, like his own movie. It should be a horror. There has been talk about it, and it seems very likely. Will says, how do you manage to keep all the news under wraps? Knowing also you're a big fan of wrestling, it's got to be hard. It's hard sometimes. It's less hard other times. I get excited about wrestling, and sometimes I just have to get a bit less excited and leave a bit of space and a bit of room for other people to be excited too. It's hard at times. Michael says, now that the New York Comic Con has happened, I really wonder if Sasha has plans to be there prior to Triple H taking over. Well, Sasha basically is doing whatever the hell she wants right now, and it's working for her. Thomas says, when Pat returns to WWE, will Wade Barrett return to NXT, or will he stay on SmackDown? Wade Barrett will be staying on SmackDown, regardless of what happens next for Pat McAfee. Spider-Boss says, Bayley have been in a fun exchange with Gigi Dolan and JC Jane on Twitter. Bayley would certainly pop a rating for NXT. Sean says, who's this Kaylee Ray you're all talking about? Great question. Ancient history. Ancient history. Good evening, Patrick. How you doing? If you've not yet done so, please do consider hitting the subscribe button. You will get notifications for every spoiler warning and every piece of breaking news, and there is a lot of breaking news coming, as you guys know. And also consider becoming a channel member. You can become a channel supporter for £1 a month, so that's £12 a year, and you will get backstage news, you will get behind the scenes information. Sorry, you won't get backstage news. All my news will always be free, but you'll get behind the scenes access information as to how I report the news, when I learn certain things and the process that I undertake, and so on and so forth, as well as some additional extra podcasts. Tom, fantastic. Says it's hit 106 viewers, just hit 640 subscribers. Well done, Tom. You're getting closer and closer, I tell you. Hope your watch time's good. Simon says, do you see Seth becoming a 2-time US champion tonight? Nope. Ty says, what do you think about Roman Reigns versus Logan Paul at Crown Jewel? It's happening. Should be an alright match, and then it should be completely ignored for the rest of time. Steve says, is Bo Dallas the White Rabbit? I don't believe so, no. Richard says, can't believe people are forgetting about Meiko Satomura. Meiko will put Charlotte to shame with her wrestling ability. I don't think she'll put her to shame. I think they'll have a great match. Simon, no news on Roman dropping the titles. As I've said, they are making it up as they go along. Connor says, early Rumble predictions. Cody Rhodes, Becky Lynch. Michael says, PWInsider is reporting that Ronda is listed as a heel internally. Well then, that match finish with Liv and their big smile on her face don't quite work out, does it? Omega believes Tegan Nox is the greatest. Dog Knight says, what happened to Elias? Once again, I know I'm in the minority, but I found him and Kevin Owens, the Ezekiel story, enjoyable. Well, he only briefly appeared in the Ezekiel story. I'm more worried about what's happening with Ezekiel, but the most impressive thing is that we heard that Elias was dead, and then he popped up with his brother, so that was interesting. Spider-Ball says, I think Sasha and Charlotte is a female version of Brett in HBK. Charlotte more wrestling, and Sasha is a good sports entertainer. I think that's a very good way of looking at it. Tom says, do you think Last Legend will return under... Less Legends will return under new WWE? Yes. Very much so, yes. Triple H is a lot less interested in bringing in legends as he was, as Vince McMahon was. The use of DX is indeed to pop a rating, and let's just say the Bloodline are going to be involved in that one. He was Brad, but Doc Gallows will be the guy this time. Mike says, I'd love to see Naomi join the Bloodline. It would just make sense. It would indeed. Venom wants Brock versus Bray. Kieran says Diaz is injured until December. Oh, I did not realise. Wrestling and Magic Madsen says, who will Riddle and Rollins feud with now after their feud? New people. The most likely scenario for me is that Riddle has something with Bray until Randy Orton returns, and that Seth Rollins moves on to a long-term feud with Bobby Lashley. Thank you, Randall. Appreciate that. Mike says, any updates on new championship belts? Nothing that I haven't already reported. Mike says, weirdest sneezer was someone I went to high school with, sounded like a chipmunk. Ooh, fair enough. Fowler says, you're definitely not the weirdest sneezer I've ever seen. Believe it or not, I sneeze pretty much just the same way. I don't believe it, Fowler. I don't believe it at all. I used to work with someone who, whenever they sneezed, everyone would have a moment of, oh God. Oh. Because she sounded like she was having a pretty intense orgasm. Kieran says, Bray's new mask looks exactly like the mask from the film The Black Foam. Black Foam? The Black phone. I have not seen the film. I cannot speculate on that one. What I will say, Redeemer, Reclaimer, Justice. No Dayan Orton's back injury. To my knowledge, he will be returning late this year, early next year. Venom says, wonder what happened to Vic Joseph. He moved on. Hector says, if gimmick match pay-per-views are coming to an end in the future, I sure hope they put Money in the Bank back on Mania. That made it feel special. I find it unlikely they'll go completely, but Money in the Bank will still be considered a special event. Joey says, if Tyler Breeze comes back, could he lead Triple M? Nope, they already have a leader in Max Dupree. Simon says, I think Io Shirai is currently the best active female pro wrestler in the world. Sean says, do you see Miriam coming back now that her deal with Impact is over? She is open to a lot of different offers. I suspect Triple H will be reaching out, yes. Simon says, do you think MJF wins the AEW title at Full Gear versus Mox or before? I think it will either be at Full Gear or after, personally. Wrestling and Magic Madsen quite accurately saying Elias will return when his beard is back. Omega says Ezekiel is TNA bound. Ooh, interesting. I'll be interested to see you reported that and interested to see how he works. When he gets there with Matt Hardy, that'll be very, very interesting. Connor says a friend who was at Extreme Rules said that the boos Ronda got wasn't the type heels typically get. Apparently the crowd was genuinely annoyed. Yeah, the match wasn't great. Match wasn't great at all. Will says, do you see any women's tag teams getting called up? Eventually, yes. Michael says, how long do you think the Bloodline stays together? About another year. Eric says, could you see Triple H back on TV for DX? Triple H will be back on TV for Raw tonight. Brad says, Vic Joseph is married to Mackenzie Mitchell. They're on their honeymoon. Dad says, Tom rate these two teams, Mega Power and Rockers. Mega Powers? They were bigger names. Spider-Boss says, how long we will see Sammy with the Bloodline until there is no more Bloodline. Sean says, Cody's first feud when he returns. Seth freaking Rollins again. Andy says, any news on NXT Europe? They are still in the development phase. Eric says, could you possibly see a return for Fandango? Not in the WWE, no, though he has recently returned elsewhere. Ross says, Sportskeeda reporting. Sportskeeda are not reporting. Sportskeeda are repeating someone else reporting. Brock is due to appear on Raw tonight to set up a crown jewel match. And then I'm sure we'll see him tonight to set up that match. Unlikely to be Daniel Cormier, after all. He was very uninvolved last night. No, not last night. Extreme Rules. So I think we're more likely to see Brock involved with Bobby Lashley. Wrestling and Magic says, Cody I think will win the Royal Rumble 2023 and face Rollins at Mania and win. Yep, same. Kelly says, any plans for LA Knight? Well, the main plan right now is to establish him again as LA Knight. So it'll take a little time. Dog Knight says, Tom, I'm guessing Tony Khan will be feeling a bit flat with the trajectory of WWE with Bray and Cody and Triple H. I know it's not going to happen as he's a big WWE guy, but do you think they need a Brock? Nope, absolutely not. What they need is what they have. What they need is to bunker down and accept that, yes, the ratings are going to go down a little bit because we're finally getting to honest ratings. But the security of having Jon Moxley exclusively signed to AEW and their partners, he will still wrestle in New Japan, for example, is a very, very good bit of information. For those who weren't already aware, I've been reporting for months now that Jon Moxley has been working under a handshake agreement. He was not officially under an AEW contract. He was supposed to have his break. Then they would announce a new contract when he returned. His break was cancelled because of the CM Punk and Elite situation. So he did not end up getting a holiday. He volunteered, by the way, because he's Jon Moxley, and that's what happens. He just wants to wrestle. The signing of Jon Moxley is a clear statement of intent. The re-signing of MJF, another clear statement of intent. AEW needs to focus on the people that they have, not the people that they want. Wrestling and Magic says, what was the match of the night for you, Tom? It was the good old-fashioned Donnybrook. Omega says he's there with Matt Hardy, Abyss, and Double J. Double J. Simon says Hikaru Shida is a very high merchandise seller in AEW. Yes, she is. Michael says, do you think Triple H becomes an authority figure on TV? Nope. Sean, I'm just going to clarify this. You said PWInsider said that about Brock also. They did not say that also. They are the only ones who said it. Sportskeeda have repeated what they've reported. PWInsider are the ones who reported it. They are not a second source. They are the only source. I need to make it clear. I need to make it very clear because, as I said at the beginning of the show, it can sometimes feel like you've got 5 or 6 sources for a particular piece of news. So it feels like it's set in stone. It isn't. This information, for example, has one source. One source and a whole lot of people repeating it. It's not being confirmed, but it suddenly feels like it's definitely true. Not many people out here repeat what I say. Nobody repeated that Bray Wyatt had signed when I said it on September 21st. But he did. Kieran says, I'm surprised DC, Daniel Cormier, wasn't involved more. Thought it at least took a stray kick or something. I think he did a good job, but I think the match was truncated because they needed to get to the finish and they needed to get to Bray Wyatt. Also, Edge and Finn Balor went long. The fight pit was supposed to be a longer match. Boss says, how long will Adam Pearce be an authority figure on TV until he decides he doesn't want to be the authority figure anymore, at which point they'll bring in someone else. Venom says, do you think Cena will ever win the IC belt? Probably yes. That'll probably be the last belt he wins and the only belt left to do. Dad says, can you see Darby Allin coming to WWE when his contract runs out? Maybe. It depends if he doesn't want to. If he wants to, there'll probably be an offer for him. Wrestling Magic says, Moxley is one of the best wrestlers on the planet. I'm so happy to see him stay in AEW. He has decided to stay. He was always planning to stay, to my knowledge, but he did go without a contract for a while because there was some issues with it was cost benefit again. It was cost benefit. Jon Moxley is basically being paid, or at least he was being paid, twice as much as anyone else, including people like CM Punk. It was a bone of contention for certain people, so they needed to increase the benefit, and that's why he started getting more office roles as well. Tom says, when do you think Mox takes a break after he drops title to MJF? I think he'll be told he should take a break then, but he's Jon Moxley, so I don't think he will. I think he'll just go to New Japan. Wrestling Magic says, Tom, has any wrestlers in 2022 surprised you with good matches? Braun Strowman. Strowman versus Otis really stood out for me. It was a hell of a showing. And really showed a new and different Braun Strowman. Spider-Boss says, is it true that in Mox's new contract with AEW he gets a coaching role? Yes, he 100% does. And it's definitely true because AEW themselves said it. We need to work out the sources for the information that we're hearing. That'll answer most of our questions already. Eric says, if Gacy gets called up, will the deeds go back to being the grizzly young veterans? Grizzled young vets is likely to return if Joe Gacy is called up, yes. Dog Knight says, I agree, Tom. I think they need to quit the WWE bashing and focus on themselves. AEW is a great place for MJF to stay a superstar. Sure, he'll end up in WWE one day, but it's too busy there now. I'm not sure he'll end up in WWE one day. I think he can make a home in AEW, like Moxley is doing, and I think he should do. Spider-Boss says, could we see Adam Pearce and Ronda being like Vince and Stone Cold? We already are seeing them like that. Gunnar says, what do you think of Gunter's Brazilian tap? Well, like shaved into a line. Got him a lot of heat online for him using ring rules to his advantage, plays so well with his ring general gimmick. Yeah, he knows the rules better than the fans do, and he proved that. Wrestling and Magic says, Mox re-signing of AEW is Khan's masterpiece. Yeah, the negotiation's been ongoing for a long time. It was formally signed before the match with CM Punk, but it wasn't announced until now. Thomas says, apart from Bray's return, what was your moment of the night from Extreme Rules? Again, the Donnybrook match for me was by far the best part of it. Tom says, unpopular opinion, I love Finn Edge at Extreme Rules. It was a very good match. It was hilariously overbooked and way too long, but it was a quality match. Venom says, Grizzled and Vets needs to be given the tag belts. It's a crime they haven't been given them yet. Is it a crime? Like, they're still managing to get over without them, so if you need them to get over, you should have them, but they don't need them. Horsey says 105 on only 63 likes. Let's discuss the likes. Up. Sean says, do you think Gunter tapped out? No, he didn't. 4-3 says, if Tyler Breeze returns, what role do you see him portraying? A wrestler. I don't really know what else that question could be. Wrestling and Magic says, I was surprised by the ladder match from Extreme Rules, and Donnybrook match was amazing. It is 11:15 here in the UK in the evening. We've gone over by 15 minutes because, and I got to be clear with this, guys, if you guys keep asking questions, I will keep going until we run out, at which point I will then call it, as I am doing right now. Yes, Sheamus will become a Grand Slam champ, but not yet. But I want to say, as always, a massive thank you to everyone. This has been a hell of a spoiler warning. We peaked at 130 viewers, 68 likes, 758 views, and we continue to grow. If you've not yet done so, please hit like, please subscribe as well if you haven't already. We are continuing to grow. We are getting closer and closer to the point at which I can do this full time. And tell your friends, spread the word that we share news here before anyone else. We have news for free that pops up on paywalls afterwards, and we have one hell of a record. So for everyone watching, thank you kindly. I'll see you all very soon. I've been Tom Colohue, and you have been fantastic.